I don't know what happened to me. I caught something in the middle of the night, and I've been up like a lot of the night. I'm just feeling awful. So bear
You
with
weren't
me.
you weren't there the other day when I did the live COVID test on the live stream.
I did. I had you on because I started the video
Yes.
that time. I had to stay on. So
We might have to get you in there.
I know, seriously. I don't think that's what it is. I haven't been out enough to do much COVID.
You'd think.
You'd think, yeah. So we got baseball back, and it's I'll come up with a regular sort of schedule for content and what we'll do and stuff. But we're probably not gonna be going live for FanDuel and DraftKings probably in the same days as often.
Right.
But we wanted to do it today because it's it's the first day of the year. And as long as I can get through it, Sheets, you got to talk a little bit.
Well, we'll get used to like the things that I want to get out there, and ask you. So the first thing I think we should always start with this is, first of all, are there any weather concerns or no?
So that's always going to be a question. Every day it's going to be like,
yes.
Yeah, there's always concerns, but like.
Well, but none of what I'm saying is for the purpose of our content. I mean, I'd like to ask you, like, as we start off, like, what weather concerns are there out there?
Yeah, it's more just that it's like nasty in Chicago, but it doesn't mean that it's, probably a good thing for pitching, not as good for the hitting.
So no real rain out risk or anything like that.
I don't want to say yes or no to those questions ever because I can't decide. You know what I mean? I'm not a weatherman, so I can only go off of what I'm seeing. If I see, if the winds could change this way, I don't know. It's too early in the day for me to say games that are starting in 10 hours are no risk.
Okay.
It'll be like when we're like 3 hours out. You know what I mean?
That's fine. Next thing I want to ask is there anything, and I'll ask this every day, is there any particular umpire data that you feel is worth mentioning?
Not at the moment. I'm not touching that on day one. It's okay. I don't even trust the umpire information that came out.
Okay.
And I also just my general way I play is I usually wait a couple weeks before I get heavily invested in the MLB season. I'll play some tournaments here and there, and I don't think it's just the way I prefer to do it. I feel like I feel rusty even as I'm trying to build a lineup today, just because I've been so in basketball mode that it's kind of hard. I do everything by hand, and then I had I literally hand built my 150 for golf too. So it's I like to go slowly at the start. So I'm thinking very, simply. There's 2 stacks that I'm looking at today. And I don't think I'm going to play anybody else but those 2 stacks.
That's very interesting. So let's again, there are 2 different slates,
Yeah.
And there's a very relevant difference between the 2 of them.
Yep.
So what do you, I guess we'll do it this way. Let's talk about, I guess, pitching first. Like, where are you looking on FanDuel with respect to pitching?
I think that the easiest answer is probably Shane Bieber and Wainwright make the most sense, you'd think, just for their pricing. But I kind of like the idea of playing Corbin Burnes the best. I think you can play Burnes at significantly lower ownership than Bieber. Excuse me. Burnes at significantly lower ownership than Bieber, and I think that they have very similar upsides. You also get, Bieber's pitching in an American League park, and you get the pitcher in the National League. So the Cubs, while they are not going to be quite as bad as they were at the very end of last year, this is not a lineup that scares anybody. They have a lot of strikeouts in them. So I kind of like the idea of using Bieber as my number one. I'm sorry, of using Corbin Burnes as my number 1 pitcher, even though I think Bieber is the normal cash game choice.
So one thing that, again, you're going to get used to this year, now that we were a little bit more into the SaberSim, like as a group, than we were last year, although I was doing it, is one thing you're all going to have to get used to, especially with transparency and within this chat, is that, and I did this, Bobby, I did like 2 videos last night, and I put them up there.
Oh, nice.
One on both are the concept is how to use the True DFS tools to build tournament lineups, and I used today's opening day slate as an example, and the whole first video was dedicated to how to do it with not an optimizer. How to do it with doing it by hand, just using projections and stacks and all that stuff. And the second one was completely dedicated to how to use an optimizer. And I did some RGHQ, did some SaberSim, just the different ideas. And the thing that you guys are all going to have to get used to is that when I go through who I like, in these live streams, it doesn't necessarily translate to who actually gets played. Like I will tell you like who I think the top pitchers and the top stacks are when you actually build tournament lineups. You typically are not going to want like pitchers with the quote unquote best stacks if they're all going to be the most popular. You know, so that's something that's really really interesting. So like for example, when I did my hand built stuff like last night, I would say, okay, I'm getting a Bieber and who's on DraftKings? Bieber and somebody else was the chalk build over there. Bieber and Otani or something like that, or Bieber and Wainwright with like Padres and Mets and a lot of Mets. But then when I ran through SaberSim, for example, and I did like with ownership thing and all that stuff, I literally got 0 Mets.
Yeah.
I would end up with Valdez and X preparing with like with like the Arizona. You know what I mean? Like so, they're just different types of analysis. So I figured I would put that out there.
Yeah.
With respect to FanDuel, for example, I agree. I have Bieber rated the top. There's obviously some concerns just because he is coming off injuries and whatever. But one thing about baseball, I think that with the preseason and all that stuff, they do I think a decent job of getting their guys ready for when they need them. And I think that if Bieber were not ready, he just wouldn't. You know what I mean? They wouldn't throw him out there.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I recall, like I don't know if it was last year or the year before, like Bieber, his first few starts coming into this, he was like amazing. I mean, he came right out of the gate like just freaking on fire. So I'm not worried too much about that. So I think that you hit the nail right on the head. I think that that Bieber makes the most sense, and then Burns is just such a natural pivot, because he's a little bit too expensive.
I actually think Burns is the better. I think straight up Burns is significantly I think he's a better play. I don't think that he's just. I think that like the logical cash game because that's what I see everybody else who's talking about says. Yeah. But if you actually ask me, who do you expect to have a better outing? I expect Burns to be the better pitcher.
Okay. Now, here's another way I'll ask you. So the next guys I kind of have on the list as far as FanDuel are Fried, McGill, and Darvish, and then even like Brubaker or whatever. My question is, how many lineups do you need to play to get to those guys? I mean, I say that rhetorically. There's obviously not an actual number, but maybe we'll spur discussion. Like for example, if you wanted to play, say the Brewers, right, or a chalky stack, would you want to have to go down to those types of pitchers to do that, or would you prefer to try to get different in some other way?
I'm always the pay for pitching, and you can find enough hitting to make it work.
Okay.
But again, if there is a pitcher that you would take, Wainwright is significantly cheaper. You would take a shot at it with him. I don't love it myself, but Pittsburgh is not like an offense that you're not scared of. I'm not playing any Brubaker. I don't mind the idea of McGill, but I wouldn't do it probably. I think I would probably just stick to the guys I want to play, which are would be Bieber, obviously, and Burns with maybe a little bit of Wainwright. That's pretty.
What about because this guy pretty well back from when he played for you guys. But what do you think of Darvish or the season and in general? And as he always has a ceiling.
Yeah, I think he's a reasonable play. He's good. He's got a good matchup. He's good. I don't know. It's hard when I see Burns and Bieber with the elite strikeout ability because Darvish does have it, but he's sort of hit or miss a little bit. But I do like him. You know what I mean? And again, you can always bet on Max Fried, but I wouldn't do it on FanDuel in general that often because his price is usually a little higher over here, and he doesn't strike out a ton of guys like as good of a real life pitcher as he is. I mean, the strikeout prop is interesting to note today. Like Burns is a full, he's 7.5 versus 6.5 for Bieber. And then these other guys are like the mid 5 guys, the 5.5 guys, and then Wainwright's 4.5. I just those extra few strikeouts don't sound like much, but also like some of them are going to exceed it. And I think Burns is too low. I think you should have an 8.5 case prop or higher. And if I think a guy's 2 strikeouts better than somebody else, I kind of have to just load up on that guy. I'm just sort of thinking out loud.
Well, what you kind of have to do is play him in the prop market too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And that is stuff, guys, for those people out there. I will be doing all my lineups and all these things. I didn't happen to do it today because it was all night with the Masters and I was up with this thing, but I'm going to be doing it for all the things. It just happens to be sometimes the morning ones are going to be harder to have the early look builds because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm building for my DraftKings lineups right now, but I'll talk through it on air. Oh, I did want to note, Cheats, the one piece of umpire note that is of note is Phil Cuzzy, who's one of the best pitchers umpires in baseball, is doing Bieber's game. So the Cleveland KC game. That's just worth noting. The other, I don't even have some of the other guys though yet.
Well, what's interesting, by the way, and well, I'm going to get that back to the umpire thing. It is relevant. I want to really try to avoid, and it's hard to double count stuff. Like for me to say, boy, my projection, I really like Bieber, and you know what? He's also really, he has good strikeout upside. Well, sure. I mean, that's why he's projecting the way he is. But I don't think the umpires really get factored into these projections all that much. And the one thing, I don't know if you ever thought about this. So we talked about
it will change every now and then. For like a really extreme one, you'll see like a tiny bit. You might see a half run projected total on the total change or something. But anyway, go ahead, Star Sheets.
Oh, so what I was going to say is, with this umpire stuff, I think it's important to distinguish between what type of umpires will help which type of pitchers, right? So like if you have a favorable umpire, that's going to help that guy that like picks at the corners, right? It's not necessarily going to help the big high fastball, you know what I mean, the fastball strikeout guys. I guess, I don't know. Like
I think I don't know if I could. I think we might be getting too much into the weeds if we start thinking about that. You know what I mean, personally.
Okay.
I think it's just better as a rule of thumb, sort of to have it. But I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But a guy who is wild, yeah, sure. But I don't know. There aren't really. It's kind of hard because then there's guys with low zones and high zones, and we can get all into that stuff more into the season. I'm just not doing that on opening day because these umpires just had an off season. Also, the way that they ump games is not. It does change from year to year. You have guys who when I first started were extreme pitchers, umpires that are now on the extreme hitter side of things.
And I wonder if I don't really know about this. This is actually kind of be an interesting kind of advanced video to make, or whatever research to do. Do umpires go through like analytics training? You know what I mean? Like, do they?
Yeah, it's like one of the most. It's the tough, like one of the most competitive things in the world is the umpire thing. So yeah, they're very scrutinized.
Yeah, and they like know like what their stats are and what they and it's interesting. And I wonder if they like consciously try to make them so. Because like the umpires are always fighting the possibility of getting replaced by robots, right? And you think that the umpires would like to be as accurate as possible. So I guess I would imagine that the umpires with the reputation for being one thing, they'd probably regress the other way if they're really trying to work on their craft, I imagine.
Yeah. I think so.
So what do you think? Okay, so you mentioned hitting. So let's stick to FanDuel for a minute. Who is your favorite stack? And you could talk about it whether it's just on raw points or whether it be because of ownership or anything like that. Like who are you playing? What do you like?
Favorite stacks are St. Louis, the Mets, and Atlanta. Atlanta, I feel a little like Molly. We see him occasionally; he's really good, but it is Atlanta at home, and I'm just going to always try and beat that drum. But I think you can make an argument for San Diego too. They're righty dominant lineup against Madison Bumgarner. They're all interesting to me. I think for the pricing, I'm finding myself gravitating towards the Mets because I'm using Burns as a pitcher. But I do think that St. Louis, Atlanta, and New York are my favorites, with San Diego being right after them. Although I could definitely see a case for that. I'll feel like an idiot if I don't have a San Diego stack today.
Well, are you including FanDuel? Are you including the Milwaukee game in that as well?
Yeah, I don't want to touch that weather with like. Okay. There's like, I understand Milwaukee has the highest total. I don't care. Like, it doesn't do anything for me. So I don't want to take guys in 40-degree temperatures like ever in baseball. I just think it's bad logic. They are cheap though. I have to say, I don't mind mixing them in though. I just don't think I want to play a full stack here.
Okay. But remember, in FanDuel, a full stack is not the same as a full stack on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
On DraftKings. Yeah, I mean, it just if you look at my numbers at least, I mean, for me, like Milwaukee's like kind of a standout. So it's
Oh yeah,
interesting.
they're I think they're probably they're gonna have some of the chalkiest. They're probably gonna have four of the top chalkiest hitters on the slate.
Well,
Maybe.
that's the thing. Also, that's what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that they rate as clearly the best stack and also clearly the highest owned. And I was gotta talk about like ways to pivot off of them, and you didn't even want to play them at all. So that's good enough for me. What do you think of
You have a pitcher against them. It doesn't give up power in a stadium that you can't get power. This is driving me crazy. Stop calling me guys. But a stadium that's not today is not going to play well for power. It just doesn't make quite enough sense to me. Like why to play the chalky stack in that situation?
So the other there are two. One of the things again, I keep threatening to put this out there, but I have to figure out how to frame it. I have this metric that I work with, like, and I did it last year, the year before. I just kind of do it privately, whatever. I don't know how to try to rate it, where I basically factor in both, all the different ways I analyze stacks, and also with ownerships, and just come up with one like overall kind of leverage number.
Mm-hmm.
And the two teams that I get with that, actually on both sides, but FanDuel, I'm getting, and this is going to be unfortunately this. We've had this conversation probably 100 slates last year about me telling you how I like Arizona and you telling me not to play them, and like and sometimes and most of the time you were right. You know what I mean? Like so every year, so every slate.
They were the worst offense in baseball for what.
Yeah, right. So every day, I think we're gonna have this conversation of Arizona rating well, being low owned, and probably
because you'd always say Arizona's been hot lately. Look at what they're doing, and I was looking at they've scored no more than 4 runs in 2 months.
I know. The other one, maybe I could talk you into, maybe is Washington. They have with Soto, Bell, Hernandez. You also get Nelson Cruz now over there.
Yep.
So Washington would be the other one that I would add to the list. Like I don't know if I could play like the Mets on DraftKings without being a total chalk donkey. I know you're good at it. You can figure that out. I got to really figure out how to do that if I want to play the Mets, I think. So for me on FanDuel, I mean,
they're actually a pretty easy team to play because they've got multiple position guys. Some double. Actually, not that many.
No, you can play them, but I mean, aren't they going to be huge chalk, the Mets over there?
They'll have ownership, but yeah, I mean, again, like if I'm not, we haven't talked about DraftKings yet, so
not at all. We'll get
I'm trying to build my FanDuel.
So for me, okay, so FanDuel, I have Milwaukee rated the best, and then I have tied between the stupid Diamondbacks and the Padres, and then again, I guess the Mets next, and then I guess next I would have the Braves, but I think that maybe the Braves. I like that better than Washington. I do like the Braves.
Yeah.
Ozuna, Rosario, Duvall, Olsen. Interesting. So I do like that.
Yeah. I like it's funny, you do get some big pricing differences between some of these guys on DraftKings and FanDuel, which is something we'll touch on daily, but like today, because we're doing the slates different, I didn't really notice. I sort of was just going through my stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, if you want, I mean, I do like the San Diego stack. I think that it is hard because the stacks I like are a little bit more popular, but you can get different within those stacks. I mean, that's one thing I always remind people, like you don't need to there's plenty of low owned guys in the stacks.
Do you want to do the same thing? You want to go like either position by position or just like favorite one-offs, or how do you want to do it with like
sure. We can go position by position on FanDuel, right?
Yeah.
As long as we so let's talk about it. Why don't you talk about some of your favorite catchers?
So again, remember on FanDuel is that you can screw around, right? You can catch your first base, right?
Right.
So
sorry, my bad.
Right?
You're right. No, you're right.
I thought something changed for a second.
No, you're right.
I thought something changed for a second. So I don't know. I'm probably not going to play a straight catcher over there. I would the cheap chalk I imagine is going to be Rowdy Tellez at first base, 2,200.
Yeah.
But then there's I think probably the best play.
Best play has got to be Luke Voigt and Pete Alonso.
I was going to say Pete Alonso.
I think it's those two. That's like literally the first lineup I built. I had to put
Wait,
both
I
those
don't even
guys.
know. I don't even have Voit. What team is he on?
San Diego.
Yeah, I see. I didn't even get that starting lineup. I have Cronenworth, so I gotta get updated starters, I guess. So I like Alonso. Christian Walker's cheap again, back to Arizona, and then I guess Josh Bell. But I think Tella's at 2,200, considering he also has that power, even in a tough park, whatever. I mean, he could smack it around. So I think that's going to be. I think it's not going to be particularly earth shattering either, like you were saying. But he's probably the one. If I don't play a Milwaukee stack, I'll probably find a Milwaukee one. I'll probably play him as the one-off.
Yep. Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not loving. I don't love the play. I personally think that is a much better play. But
Did they announce that lineup for the Padres?
No, but he's projected to bat cleanup.
Okay.
You have a much better, you have a bad lefty. The weird thing is, this is what I'm just saying. Kyle Hendricks had a bad end of the season last year. We're coming into another season. This guy's been historically a good pitcher who doesn't give up home runs. I don't feel in love with this situation for Milwaukee. I really don't want to. I don't want to try to force him in. So I personally am going to always side with the other guys. And that San Diego stack is pretty reasonable with Will Myers and Luke Voit as really cheap options on FanDuel. What are you doing at second base, Sheets?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why I didn't have Voit. I got to change this. Okay.
I don't think it's a guarantee. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do with their lineup, but you'd imagine that he'd be batting cleanup.
Okay. All right. What position are we doing next?
What do you think of second base?
I think Ketel Marte. I like that. And then Madrigal is cheap, but again, we're back at that Cub game again. I like Senzel from the Reds, 2,100.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cheap. So I guess Senzel, Marte, if you want to spend up a little bit, those would probably be my two favorites.
Yeah, I think I would go Cesar Hernandez, Colton Wong as the best two. But again, I don't want to play overload the Milwaukee chalk. So Hernandez is going to be pretty popular too, but I like Hernandez the best, and I think Senzel would be next for me.
Yeah, Colton Wong would definitely be. What do you think of
or Escobar? You could put.
What do you think about Robinson Cano?
That's actually I like this. Let me see real quick. Sorry. I don't even know that he's gonna.
I don't know either. That's what I'm saying. I don't have the starters yet.
If he starts, he's 2,400. It's going to be hard to know. Yeah, I mean, we're still speculating. These are going to be the very unusual slates that they're usually like this. All right, let's see. Sorry, I'm a little behind on the chat. Corbin Burns. We're talking about FanDuel only, Justin. Yeah, there you got it. Somebody answered that one already. Let's get it, Rody. So, guys, again, sorry for my voice. Sheets, did you go through your third? Did you go say your third baseman and everything?
I didn't yet, but I will.
I'm in a fog over here.
Yeah. So Manny Machado, very popular, but very, certainly makes a lot of sense. He's the top third baseman, and he probably lays over the field at third base. I don't see who else I really want to play over there.
Yeah, it does seem pretty obvious that Machado is the major guy. I think that, look, if you want to go down in your Mets stacks, you can play J.D. Davis as part of it is 2,100. I think that Eduardo Escobar is probably the next guy for me. Maybe Nolan Arenado would be right after. I actually kind of like Arenado. Oh, damn it. Gooch with the double bogey. No, I'm not winning $275,000 anymore. That's too bad. All right.
Let me go to outfield then.
Yep.
So outfield, again, we're back to the Milwaukee. And you have Andrew McCutchen at whatchamacallit, at 2,500. Then we're back to my cheapos at Arizona, Dalton Varsho, Will Myers, as you mentioned before.
I certainly wouldn't be trying to pick on what's his name, by the way.
Who?
Darvish.
Okay.
I wouldn't go out of my way. I mean, look, you can do the Arizona thing, but it's to me. I always, and maybe it's a weakness. Sheets, like, maybe we could talk about that real quick, because it is something that I just don't mess around. I'm like, okay, why do I need to try and attack one of the better pitchers? I think there's so many ways to get different that I'm always interested in, like, people when they talk about stacking against good pitchers, and I'm just curious where it comes from, especially really bad lineups against good pitchers.
Right.
Um,
Especially when the pitchers aren't even going to be chalky in the first place.
Right. And are you just doing it, or are we doing it just because of the pricing? But there's other cheap guys, you know what I mean,
Right.
that are out there. So that's what that's what I'm sort of having trouble weighing in with the Arizona guys, because they definitely are. They are really cheap, but there's tons of other cheap options that I would rather take some chances with, like the Nick Senzels or the all the. I mean, Will Myers is a priority. Should be, like, I think he's like should be your priority guy you try to get in. At his price at 2.6. The other ones, I do think McCutchen is fine at 2,500. Mark Canha for the Mets, assuming of course he started. That's pretty much what I'm doing. It's mostly a lot of my lineup is on FanDuel are littered with Padres and Mets.
The other outfielder, it depends what kind, which Christian Yelich we see this year, I guess. Back to that Milwaukee game.
Yeah.
3,300. And then you could always, if you have the money and you want to spend up, you could always play Juan Soto every slate. 4,400 is a rough price to pay on FanDuel in general. But he could put up 40.
Yeah. He's the best hitter in baseball.
There you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're obviously we aside from Byron Buxton, but yeah,
of course.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much what I got with respect to the one-offs and all this stuff, but again, like with baseball, I mean, for me, it's I think more than any sport, it comes down to lineup construction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you really have to figure out how to put all these guys together. And I'm gonna do some SaberSim builds and see what I come up with. And I'm gonna fire what I'm playing today. Just so everybody knows, I'm probably playing 30 lineups in the $4, whatever that is, and I'm playing 5 lineups in the I keep calling it the slam. It's not the slam. Whatever the 50 is. What's it called in baseball?
I have no idea what.
They don't call it the slam. They call it the something. But whatever it is, that's what I'm doing. So I'm playing 30 lineups in the 4, and then 5 lineups in the whatever. The only thing I'm playing big, I'm going to play that 555. The Grand Slam. That's what it is called, the Grand Slam. The 44. And the only thing I'm playing big, I am going to play, and I don't think I've ever played this before. I'm going to play that 555 in baseball and DraftKings. I think I've graduated. I think I'm going to.
You certainly graduated.
I think I'm going to play it. So I'm playing that today. And when we come back at like 3:00, because maybe we should just call this, right? So that we can build our lineups and then.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not in the best. I'm really. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Dude, my wife was telling me that she's in a fog. She's like COVID brain right now. Maybe you have COVID brain right now. We'll see.
I don't have COVID though.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think. I actually.
You're from that movie. It's not a tumor.
I'm going to take a test, but I'm not going to do it on air. But because I think it's got a sickness.
You sound great.
What's that?
You sound great. You sound great.
Oh, thanks, Sheets. All right,
so
guys.
We got the FanDuel. We got 30 in the squeeze, and we got 5 in the slam. That's what we got going in FanDuel. I will, by the way, maybe I'll post in Discord like what my exposures are after I build, just for fun.
Usually I'm gonna have my stuff up, but on these early days, and also like I said, with getting sick in the middle of the night, like I just I didn't have it today. But to answer the question for Dunbar, who's trying to get all this stuff, yeah, the Brewers are fine. They're the chalk. I like them less than the field does for sure.
Yeah.
You remember, you're not just trying to score runs; it's how you score runs that matter. And
that is true.
And the cold weather, it's not something I'm going to do at 30%. Everybody's 30% owned or something. So I would rather take chances.
What is kind of weird, by the way.
What's that?
What is kind of weird about this FanDuel slate? I mean, like, and you kind of touched on it. I mean, there's 7 hours between these games.
I know, it's ridiculous.
So this is, by the way, a good example of late swapping. You have 3 games in the afternoon and then 3 games in the evening. So, like, for example, I don't really care right now if I don't have Luke Voigt in my projections because I will.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I will a little bit later, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
lock him in right now anyway. So I can always play him later.
I just want to throw out one more thing. I feel like we're supposed to do the St. Louis thing more than,
Okay.
it just feels like, and it's not that Brubaker doesn't have like the ability to have good stuff, but it's hit or miss with a bad bullpen behind him. I feel like I feel like I want to get more St. Louis exposure. So just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, and you were into that. You did that really early when the pricing first came out. You identified that St. Louis is going to be something to play, right?
Yeah. Just because I always look for the teams to pick on, and while the Pirates have some talented pitchers, like they're just it's young and experienced. They're not a good team, and I just think you want to try and beat up on the spots that you can beat up on, and until somebody proves that they're not something that they've been for the past 8 years or 10 years.
They had Garrett Cole and Joe Musgrove on the same team, right?
Garrett Cole was on. Yeah, that was when they were good. That was about 8 years ago. That was 5 years ago. Huh?
Oh, is that right?
4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, you're right.
Is Musgrove still on San Diego?
Is Musgrove? Yeah.
Okay.
At the beginning of the year, please don't ask me baseball questions about who's on what team. I can't. I mean, she's literally like 75% of the league changed teams. Like it's so hard to keep track of that I'm not going to have it down for a couple weeks. Well, that's not true. I'll probably have it down in like a week because it's not just about researching because like I've seen it already, guys' names on other teams, but I'm still getting the names. I'm still getting things mixed up, like left and like I don't know. By the way, the weird Corbin to speak to. If you're playing Corbin, you will be like one of the only people in the world playing Corbin. So yeah, you can make an argument for him, but I just was making an argument about stacking the Mets. So obviously, I'm not pitching Corbin in those lineups, but I do think Corbin is the. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it on FanDuel, but maybe we'll talk about him on DraftKings. But
I mean, he's really good.
Corbin?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant Corbin Burns.
Oh no, Patrick Corbin.
Oh no, you could do that. Yeah, you could.
It's the get wild DK play, and don't ever do it on FanDuel. I don't know. Maybe someday, but not today.
You know what I want to ask you about FanDuel? Okay, so when I was talking about not discounting or anything like that, or not overcounting, you mentioned that on FanDuel, certain pitchers or whatever. Talk about the quality start and all that stuff. I mean, like what? So you were mentioning like no Max Fried on FanDuel, but doesn't he get that quality start upside on FanDuel?
No, yeah, but that's a few points.
Oh, okay. It's not something worth.
Well, you only get one pitcher, so you need your pitcher to strike guys out.
Okay.
You can't have a guy who doesn't strike people out as your main pitcher. That's why I say.
So just to kind of to give you an example. So I ran a SaberSim build, okay, and obviously the highest owned stack I have is drum roll.
Okay, what?
You want to guess?
On FanDuel?
Yeah.
They're gonna try and give you Milwaukee.
Yeah, the Pirates, obviously.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I'm telling you, man. You get involved with the SaberSim, you're walking into a new world of shit. I'm telling you.
I think it's interesting, man.
Yeah, you're getting all kinds of this, and then I'm getting Cleveland. I'm getting all kinds of nonsense. I'm getting Milwaukee. I am getting Milwaukee, but it's just these Cubs start popping up, and I'm getting just as much Burns as I am Bieber. And getting a little bit of Fried too, So, a couple of slivers of Molly just for fun.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I actually don't mind that Molly idea.
How about the fact that of these lineups, I got I told you this was going to happen. Here's the money that's left on the table. I got like 1,800, 1,600, 1,400. Welcome to baseball and SaberSim. Good luck to everybody.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, but by the way, that you can get weird. That's not that great. Like, I don't think that I like the pie. I actually like that idea.
I hate to bring up a bet.
We've been trying to find a way to pick on Wainwright for years. I'm going to answer Dunbar's question for like the 9th time that I've said on the show that Corbin Burns is my favorite pitcher. I think that Shane Bieber is the obvious one, and I think your other one would actually be Wainwright. But I will play the highest about Corbin Burns.
I hate to bring up like a bad memory, but when I say that, that means I really like to. Okay, but I hate to bring back a bad memory, but a guy that showed up in a couple of my lineups, who I'm gonna play, you're not gonna be happy hearing his name, because he's definitely one of your enemies from last year, and it was the aforementioned Patrick Wisdom.
It is definitely my number one enemy.
It's a public enemy number one.
Jeez, that's a name. That's not a fun sweat. I feel
That
like
that was not fun at all.
not a fun one. Sorry,
You
I
just
had to.
needed him to like not get a home run, right? Was that the story?
No, I needed them not to hit back-to-back home runs, and on an 0-2 pitch, he hit the ball about 7 million feet, and then the next guy on an 0-2 pitch hit a home run, which was Ian Happ. And they needed to have both hit home runs to take me out of first place, and I ended up in third.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Baseball's an interesting one.
It's crazy, man. I don't even know if I should show up for this 3:00 show, man. I don't.
Yeah,
my brain isn't working. It's like it's just something's off a little bit.
I told you what you have, and you don't believe me.
Why do you want to bring me? You know what? You have cancer. How about that? It's like horrible. Don't tell me something like
that. Let's see. It's So I will tell everybody what my exposure is right now at FanDuel.
Okay, let's go.
Like it or not. Okay, this is what we got. We have. It's hard to tell. So 34% Burns. We got 23% Fried. We have 37% Bieber. Of the position players, it looks like I have a good 35%. Oh, yeah, I like playing him. Dude, I love playing the Rosario Ramirez Reyes 3-man. That's fun. I like that.
Yep.
And then, we'll talk about this more when you're feeling better. But like whenever we start talking about like Tampa games, we got to always think about like substitution risk and like which guys are going to be, because I don't think the projection models do a good job of that, of figuring out who's going to get taken out of games.
Yeah.
And I got, I'm getting 37% Ramirez, like that.
Wait, but Tampa's not playing today.
No, I know, but I was just looking at that the hats of Adames and Sugo.
And I got you. Okay, I was trying to figure out. I was like, wait,
no. And then I got 20%. Got 20% of these Pittsburghers. Dude, I got your man from Pittsburgh. This guy's the nuts. The Brian Hayes.
Brian Hayes, and yeah, I actually think that Pittsburgh, because this is the thing we've been waiting for forever. We keep thinking Wainwright is going to go back to that. We tried to do it for like almost a full season last year, tried to pick on him, and it never worked.
Well, maybe we could do the same thing. We could attack Greinke finally.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I want to do it, but
maybe this is the year. Remember, last year was the year of the washed out lefties that somehow managed to survive, like Bumgarner and Keuchel and all these guys. Maybe this is the year of the supposedly washed out righties. I don't know. We'll see.
How many? Just out of curiosity, to jump to golf for a second. How many Paul Casey lineups do you have?
I posted in the Discord. I have 17%.
I have 26%. That's ridiculous. Very unfortunate.
But you know what?
I know there was there's some risk, but you think that's why?
I think we're kind of not allowed to complain. You know what I mean? Like
kind of maybe, but I don't know. It's really frustrating when every lineup that started with like my Neiman, Cam Smith, and all that stuff has got Paul Casey in it. I'm like, what is going on?
I'm fortunate enough to. Well, the good news is that
you're right.
I could keep sweating, dude. I got my outright bet on Neiman. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, right. And he's in
first. He's in
he
first.
He held one from like 120 yards out or something.
He's in first, and you know what? He's doing very nicely with the Tiger group. Apparently.
Yep. It not going to phase a guy like him, and everybody. I was so surprised that everybody was.
Dude, that's like $100 at like 60 to 1 or something like that. That's a
good bet, man. That's a big.
I just want to be, dude. I just want to be one of my. I'm not greedy. I want one of my 5 outright bets to be in the final. I'll go take the final 3 groups on Sunday.
Right.
How about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I want to be part of the live coverage. That's what I want.
Yeah. How much Tiger did you end up playing?
I think 0.
Yeah, I think that's a I think that's that. I hope that comes back to bite you because I played a ton of them.
I'll tell you right now what I have. Let's see what I ended up doing. Yeah, Tiger. I did have 0. I played really poorly this week. Did way too much chalk, and well, I didn't know they'd be this chalky, but I way too much chalk. I do have some Bryson. I don't know what's got dude. You tell me he's 1%. I don't care. I'm just
Right.
That's ridiculous. But I do have 20% Neiman, which is nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, I got Burger's doing burger stuff. Right? What is he even? Yeah, -1. It's fine.
Yeah.
I guess overall, I mean, my guys really haven't started. I got 25% Sunjay Im is very healthy.
Wow, and he's like barely owned, right?
Yeah, that's a healthy number.
Yeah.
Let's see if we were right. What was Schauffele owned compared to Smith? Schauffele was only 15%. They didn't play him this week.
What
So
did Smith get played? Let me see. Wait, I have him. I have him.
I don't really have him. So you tell me. I'm just talking about the Millie Maker.
Cam Smith 19%. Yeah, so we were it flipped on us.
No, they were both right. They were both a little lower than we thought.
No, yeah, Cam Smith.
Smith was actually right on number. I had him at 19, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
That one was right on the number. I mean, I really don't have anything worth either bragging about or whining about right now. Over there, I have all chalk. I'm not winning. It's really ridiculous. So here are like some of these lineups I have in the Millie Maker. You ready for this? I mean, how is this winning? I mean, they're all good plays, but like this should not be a Millie Maker play. I have Cantlay, Berger, Neiman, Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Connors. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
Excuse me, but Berger's only 7%. I don't get what is that.
That's true. I mean, yeah, but I knew Berger.
No, you got to have something better than that. You know what I mean? Like you need
I agree with you.
You need some freaking Kenny play in there, like and meanwhile my big shot Woodland play, he's like the chalkiest player on the slate apparently.
Yeah, I started trying to come off that one too because I just jumped to a bunch of Cam Young, which is not working well, but
yeah,
he was too popular. All right. Doesn't look like there's any more other questions in here.
Even Bobby Mack got played. Even McIntyre got played 12%.
Yeah, that was the other one, and then it was McIntyre, Young, and I just kept rotating those guys around.
This was the one. I don't know if you played him, but you get Harmon at 7%.
I have a lot of Harmon as well. That's like I was rotating twos of these groupings, and I go out of my way to try to play those bottom guys.
Here's another one. I'm glad. Well, not glad. I mean, he's +1, so you can't look at it that way. But if you told me I was going to get Louis Oosthuizen at 7%, I might have tried that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to start publishing it. By the way, the projected ownerships versus the actuals. I do keep track of all of it. I may as well. And I think Evan has that in there somewhere also. We just don't I don't know exactly where to find it.
Yeah. Wait, which thing sheets? I'm so sorry.
Like the projected, like the actual ownership versus projected.
Oh yeah, we have to get that up there. That would be a great thing to show.
Yeah. So your Fleetwood, I mean, he's got to get moving a little bit, but he's less than 10%.
+1 is fine with me.
He's less than 10%. That's good. Connors is just going to be Connors. He's going to probably finish the day -1 where he started. Finau for Eagle, and nope, because he can't putt. Okay. I'm just watching.
I'll tell you what, Tiger looks pretty good. I know he's only even right now, but he looks pretty good.
He does look good. He's not winning, but he looks good.
I think I don't think why do we say he wouldn't win?
Because he's 46 and he hasn't played in 17 months. He's just not winning.
He's played. He just hasn't played. They all say that he's the same as ever, just stronger.
Yeah, he's not winning. I'm rooting.
You know what I mean? He's 3% owned and he's 8,500.
Dude, but we knew he'd be 3% owned.
No. Are you kidding? Did you see what the ownership jumped? They projected him up to like 15% yesterday. After the reports came out about him, he got to be trendy. Like, I mean, somebody posted a tweet sheets on with some of the top DFS guys and included me in it, but it said, here's what the people did with Tiger. And it was basically, hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's basically me and Notorious.
I will have you
like at all.
Excuse me. I will have you know that the True DFS projections had Tiger Woods at 5.11%.
Yeah, but I'm saying they were up at 11 point whatever before. At one point when we did our Tuesday or our Wednesday show, I can't remember which one because I was sort of shocked.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We shall see.
A long ways to go. I certainly don't feel bad about his start. I would, the only.
So who ended up being the highest owned? JT, right?
Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah, we figured. I figured
that. Fitzpatrick, JT. Cam Young obviously is really popular too. Jesus, man, this feels horrible.
Cam Young got ownership, huh? Interesting. All right, I guess we're gonna go on because I gotta gear up this other thing.
Yeah, sounds good.
Are you gonna send a Zoom invite for that?
I'm sending it right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds good. And I'll see you guys all at 3.
All right. Good luck, everybody.